Now that's everything in the Web Control Center for now. So we're now going to hop over to the thick client where there's a lot more info, because like I said in the Getting Started video, the Web Control Center is still in development. It's not as fully featured. So as I hop over to the thick client, you may remember in the Getting Started video there was a couple of options to open the computer management screen here. So you can either double click the machine, which will open the screen, or you can take the ID number, which you can also ask the client, if they see the Complete IT logo in the tray, they can right click this and click About. There's the ID number there. So you can just pop that number into this top right box, 89989, and hit enter, and up comes the computer management screen. And a third way of getting here, if you're in ConnectWise Manage and you're managing a screen, you'll see the little green automate icon. Let me just close it, just to prove it does work. You can click that, and it will open the computer management screen. Now this looks different to the Web Control Center, but operates much in the same in that they're tiles. So you can click on tiles and you can delve into each different tile. Now I'm going to go in, you may see a bit of duplication over what I've covered in the Web Control Center. So this is the My Dashboard view. Now what this is, you can see up here, this is the My Dashboard. You can edit these dashboards to whichever tiles you actually want to see. However, I simply just click into any of these three. So these three aren't editable. So you've got the cog, the screen, and the plug. If you hear me say the cog, the screen, or the plug, these will be the three I'm referring to. So the cog is anything to do with Automate as a system itself and that machine. The screen will just be information about that device. And then the plug will be for plugins in Automate. Now we'll start off with the cog. Now if I simply left click the cog, it will take me to a dashboard for items relating to the cog. Or if you right click the cog, you get a drop down as to what they are. So I'm going to go through, again, this is a deep dive, so I'm going to go through each one. So first of all, agent status is not very useful, but it gives you the agent version and the running time of the service. Hooray. One thing, quickly, there's this Show Details button. If you remember that overview banner at the top of the Web Control Center, pretty much the same thing. Same kind of information is there. Alerts we'll come back to. As I said, we'll cover that off in the monitoring video. Commands, exactly the same as the Web Control Center. It's a list of commands and what they did. Effective policy, very good for troubleshooting if Automate isn't quite doing what you think it should be doing. So we'll just wait for this to load, because it will be a big list. But the nice thing here is you can basically see, is it doing what I think it should be doing? Now, for example, scripts. What scripts are scheduled to run against this machine? So I can see that it's going to collect BitLocker information at 11:04 every day. I can see that it's going to set call switch to auto start. So you can see at 12:30. So if you're troubleshooting a machine, it's good to see, you can come in here and see, right, what scripts are scheduled and what is going to be running. User has told me their machine slows down at 11:30 every day. Do these run at 11:30 every day? No. So I can say, okay, so it's not an Automate script. I can see what remote monitors, again, we'll cover these off in the monitoring videos. But groups are quite powerful as well, because groups are what control what Automate does to a machine. Unfortunately, it's not in alphabetical order, but I can see things like this computer is going to see the Windows 10 upgrade button in the tray menu. Lo and behold, we see the Windows 10 upgrade button in the tray menu. I can see it's part of Complete IT. I can see it has BitLocker turned on. It's going to install Cool Switch via this software deployment. It has third-party patching. It's going to patch on a Monday. You see what I mean? This is all worded by Complete IT, so it's tried to be kept quite sensible as to what it's doing. But yeah. Extra data fields are extremely powerful. What these are basically custom fields that we can put into the system that aren't built in. So, for example, hardware info. Now, the built-in Automate serial number system can be a bit hit or miss. So we created a PowerShell script that pulls the serial number from the machine and just stores that into this custom field. The nice thing about that is we can now report on that custom field and search on it. Same with this hardware hash. This is for Azure AD, for Windows Autopilot. So we built a script that pulls the hardware hash and stores it in Automate, because we can then easily pull a list of machines for a client with all their serial numbers and all their hardware hashes and just import that into Azure. Whereas before that would have been a case of running around individual machines and running those scripts. Encryption, this is where the BitLocker recovery password is kept. So by default, Automate doesn't pull BitLocker keys, but we've used the power that it can do, but we've used Automate to do that and store the information in Automate. So that runs against any machine that has BitLocker turned on that has a TPM chip. So that's all automated. Now I'll cover the full ins and outs of that in a scripting video, but for now you just have to know here it is, and it's all automated. Lovely stuff. Monitors we'll cover in a different video. Patching we will cover in a different video. Roles. Much like Server Manager knows about roles, Automate has its own role system. We can use roles to populate groups, which we can use groups to make Automate do things. For example, BitLocker, that's how BitLocker works. It detects it via a role, it makes the machine have the role of BitLocker enabled, blah, 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 blah. But if you were to run this on a server, you'd see things like IIS, file server, remote desktop server, for example. Scripts. Much like the Web Control Center, this is a very good way of seeing what scripts have done, are doing, or are going to do. So I can see that Ninite application maintenance, that's our third-party patching script, that is going to run on this machine at 138. So I can expect at 138 for my third-party patching to go through. You may remember I ran in the Getting Started video, I ran a kill executable command. Here I can see the result, which 99% of the time goes successful in the then section, but it's the information logs that you really need. Those are the log messages. In this case, it found that OneNote.exe was not found. Therefore, that's why OneNote is still running. So it didn't find OneNote.exe, and therefore it didn't close it. So OneNote must not run under that exe name. So it's the information logs that are really important. So I can see, for example, in our third-party patching, this particular log, it was auditing Java, and the next one was that Java was not installed. So it didn't do anything to Java. Self-collection and tickets you can ignore. Tickets we use ConnectWise Manage for, so don't use tickets within Automate, and self-collection we don't use. So that is the cog. That is a deep dive into everything under the cog menu. Now moving on to the screen menu. As I said, this will now be information relating to the device itself. So what AV is it running? What network, services, storage, blah, 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 blah. Again, right click. Here we go. You would have seen a lot of these in the Web Control Center. So hardware will look very similar. It's that MS Info 32 screen. Same things down the side, CPU memory, printers, etc., etc. Logs. are a collection of event logs, but we don't use them in Automate, so you'll see this is 0 down the board. For event logs, you will need to log into the machine. Network, so I can see all the network cards on this machine, their status, their IP addresses. I can also see local shares on the machine. Again, on a server, you'll see the shares. Be careful, because you can unshare from here. And general network, you can see the open ports on the machine and what DNS servers it's set to. Processes is a lot like Task Manager, so you'll just see a big list of EXEs that are running. It can take a bit of time to load. No, it doesn't even take a bit of time to load, it's actually going quite quick. So you'll see here the CPU usage of these processes, what they're doing, their file path, etc. Much like the Web Control Center, this is an hour out of date, so I could hit resend to get the latest list. You can end a process from this screen as well. And you can do the same for memory usage. Remote backup we don't use, so you can ignore it. Services is exactly the same as the Web Control Center. Startup, so you can get a list of startup information. So I can see on this machine, these are all the things that are going to launch on startup and login. You can edit these. Some you can't delete, but some you can. So if you've got, I don't know, a piece of malware or Logitech download assistant that annoyingly tells me to install a driver every morning, delete. That will go through and delete that from the startup. Storage, much like the Web Control Center, a list of disks, fragmentation and free space. We don't get the nice trend graph in the thick client, however, that's only in the Web Control Center. And system, much like the system menu in the Web Control Center, you can see some information about the operating system. You can see local users and add users, unlock accounts, reset passwords, make admins, and scheduled tasks as well, you can see from here. So that was a deep dive of the screen menu. Now moving on to the plugins plug. Now you won't see all of these. You will see 9-Night Solution and ThirdWall. They will have their own dedicated videos where we'll go through those, so we won't go any further than that for now.